The rain pattered softly against the tall windows of St. Patrick's Cathedral in downtown Manhattan, the kind of drizzle that made everything feel heavier, more final. I sat in the third row from the back, my black dress clinging to my skin from the walk-in, hands folded tightly in my lap. Up front, my sister Victoria stood at the podium, her voice steady as steel, reading from a crisp sheet of paper. She looked every bit the picture of composed grief, hair pulled back in a flawless chignon, pearls at her neck, eyes dry and focused. "Dad was a pillar," she said, her words echoing off the stone walls. "He taught us resilience, how to build something that endures." He passed that on to Mom, who anchored him through every storm, to Elena, who mirrored his sharp mind in every deal, and to me, who carried his vision forward. I waited. The pause hung there, thick and deliberate. But my name never came. Not a whisper of Emily. Not even a vague nod to his youngest daughter. It was as if I'd vanished from the family's script altogether. My chest tightened, a slow burn starting in my throat. I'd been the one by his bedside those last months, wiping sweat from his forehead during the endless chemo sessions, whispering stories from our old summers in the Hamptons to keep his spirits up. I'd adjusted his pillows when the nurses were stretched thin, read him emails from donors to the foundation we'd built together. And now, here in this sacred space, surrounded by suits and sympathetic nods, I was nothing. Erased. The service blurred after that. Hymns rose and fell. A priest murmured about eternal peace. But all I could focus on was Dad's photo on the altar, a candid shot I'd snapped years ago. Him laughing with barbecue sauce on his chin at a backyard cookout. Now it was cropped tight, formal, like they'd polished away the messiness of who he really was. After the casket was carried out, I lingered in the vestibule, hoping for what? A glance? An acknowledgement? Mom. Isabella moved through the crowd like a ghost in designer black, shaking hands with old business partners, thanking them for their condolences. "Victoria handled everything so beautifully," she said to one, her smile tight but practiced. No one approached me. A distant uncle passed by with a half-hearted pat on the shoulder. "Didn't realize you were still around these parts." Still around? I'd never left. That night, back in my small apartment in Brooklyn, the silence pressed in. Cass, my teenage son, was crashing at a friend's. Better that way, I thought, so he wouldn't see me unravel. I poured a glass of cheap Merlot and wandered into the spare room where I'd stashed boxes of Dad's things after clearing out his study. There, tucked in a corner, was the leather-bound journal he'd given me years ago, filled with notes on the family trust we'd drafted together. "This is our legacy, he'd said, his hand steady on mine as we outlined the clauses for scholarships, the investments for future generations. I'd helped build it, line by line, during late-night sessions when the cancer hadn't yet stolen his fire. Now, flipping through, I noticed pages missing, torn out clean. My heart stuttered. Who had been in here? 3 days later. It hit harder. I was sorting mail in the kitchen when an email pinged from Victoria. "Family meeting asset distribution. Tomorrow at the house." I scanned the recipients. Mom, Elena, their husbands, even a cousin twice removed. My name? Nowhere. I texted Elena, my fingers flying. Was I left off by mistake? Her reply came quick. "Kurt, it's for core stakeholders." Didn't think it applied. Core stakeholders. The words landed like a slap, cold and calculated. I paced the living room, memories flooding back, me at Dad's side in the hospital, helping him sign off on transfers when his hands shook too much, promising I'd protect what we'd created. And now, they were locking me out, like I was some outsider sniffing around for scraps. The exclusion snowballed. A week on, I visited the family home in Westchester to drop off some of Dad's old books. The hallway wall that once held a photo of my college graduation, Dad beaming, arm around me, was bare. In its place, a glossy portrait of Victoria, Elena,
Mom,
and Dad at a charity gala, all smiles and champagne flutes. I stared, breath shallow. They'd reframed the narrative. Literally. Later that evening, a brochure arrived in the mail, glossy, inviting, exclusive family retreat in Aspen. King, wellness sessions, bonding time. Every name listed. Isabella, Victoria, Elena, spouses,
kids. Not me.
not Cass. I crumpled it, tears pricking hot. This wasn't forgetfulness. This was deliberate. A quiet campaign to write me out. By mid-December, the holiday card sealed it. Thick cardstock, embossed with gold.
Inside.
A staged photo, the family around a towering Christmas tree in the living room, matching sweaters. A labradoodle with a bow. Caption: warm wishes from Isabella, Victoria, Elena, and the Harrington clan. No Emily. No Cass. I tucked it away before he saw. But kids notice everything. Why aren't we in the picture? Mom, he asked over breakfast, his voice small. I forced a smile. Sometimes people edit what they want to see. But inside, it gnawed a leech. They'd called me in whispers I'd overheard at the funeral reception. A burden. Never contributed. I replayed it as I washed dishes, as I folded laundry,
As sleep evaded me.
the one who'd sacrificed a career to care for Dad, now painted as the parasite. That night, I dug out the folder from under my bed. Hospital logs, trust drafts, notes from those final talks. Discrepancies jumped out, account changes without my sign-off, names dropped from beneficiary lists. It wasn't paranoia. It was a pattern. I texted an old friend from law school, now at a firm in Midtown. Coffee?
Urgent.
He replied, tomorrow. Usual spot. Over lattes. I laid it out, the omissions. The locks changed on shared accounts. He listened, brow furrowed. They're consolidating.
Eminência.
Rewriting the will before anyone questions it. My stomach dropped. Can they? He sighed. They're trying. But if there's foul play in the revisions. He trailed off. I nodded. Resolve hardening. Back home. I tried logging into the trust portal. Dad's credentials. Updated together months ago. Access denied. Then a text from Victoria. Stay out of things you don't understand.
War.
That's what this felt like.
Slow.
Simmering war. The apartment buzzer rang sharp at 8 a.m., pulling me from a fitful sleep. I shuffled to the door, expecting a package, but there stood a process server, clipboard in hand, face impassive. Emily Harrington? I nodded, dread pooling. He handed over a thick envelope. You've been served. The door clicked shut, and I sank to the floor, tearing it open. Lawsuit. Whitfield Family Trust versus Emily Harrington. Accusations leaped off the page. Embezzlement. Unauthorized withdrawals. Breach of fiduciary duty. They claimed I'd siphoned funds during Dad's decline, the very trust I'd helped architect. The one meant to fund scholarships for underprivileged kids like Cass once was. My vision blurred.
How?
I'd transferred nothing without his okay. Documented every penny. This was fiction. Weaponized. Cass poked his head out from his room. Backpack slung. Mom? Everything okay? I swallowed, tucking the papers away. Just work stuff.
Bud.
Have a good day. He hesitated. I searching, then left. Alone. The tears came hot. Furious. I called my lawyer friend. Voice shaking. They sued me for theft. Silence. Then, I saw it coming. You were poking too close. I laughed bitterly. They think I'll fold. He paused. Don't. We fight this. That afternoon, I met him at his office, spilling everything. The erasures, the discrepancies. He scanned the suit. This is aggressive, but sloppy. If we can prove manipulation. I thought of Dad's old phone, stashed in a drawer after his passing. He'd recorded memos when writing hurt too much. One labeled for Emily. I hadn't listened yet. Instinct said wait.
But now?
Maybe it was time. Back home, I charged the cracked device, heart pounding as it booted. Files loaded, grocery lists, reminders. Then that one. 14 minutes long. I hit play. Dad's voice frail but firm filling the room.
Ink.
If you're hearing this, things have gone sideways. They tried to cut you out, but you're the heart of this. Co-executor. Protector. Don't let them bury the truth. He detailed changes they'd pushed. Signatures forged in his name. Funds rerouted. You earned this. Fight. The recording ended. Silence deafening.
Proof.
Undeniable. I saved it. Backed it up. Resolve stealing. This wasn't just defense. It was reckoning. The next days blurred into preparation. I scanned old emails. Pulled bank statements showing my contributions, hours logged, decisions co-made. Meanwhile, the exclusions deepened. A family newsletter arrived, touting the foundation's latest gala. My name, once credited as co-founder,
Scrubbed.
replaced with Victoria's bio. Glowing. Then, scrolling Instagram late one night, I froze. Elena, at an event, wrist adorned with Dad's vintage Rolex, the one he'd promised me. For when you need to remember times on your side. Caption. Honoring Dad's memory. Rage simmered. It wasn't the watch. It was the theft of intent. He'd slipped it to me in the hospital, whispering, yours now. But someone had taken it back. Flaunted it. I forwarded the post to my lawyer. More ammo. He replied, let's build the timeline. I did. Meticulously, dates of omissions. Photos edited. Meetings skipped. Then came the bank alert. Account frozen pending litigation. They were starving me out. Cass noticed the tension, asking over dinner. Are we in trouble? I met his eyes.
No.
We're standing up. He nodded. But worry lingered. That night, I played the recording again. Dad's words a lifeline. They count on silence.
Eminência.
Break it. I would. The courthouse loomed gray under overcast skies. Steps slick from morning rain.
Inside.
The hearing room smelled of old wood and coffee. Victoria sat across, flanked by lawyers, avoiding my gaze. Elena fidgeted. Mom stared ahead, stoic. My attorney rose first. We submit audio evidence from the deceased. The judge nodded. I handed over the drive. As it played, the room tensed. Dad's voice laid bare the manipulations. Names dropped. Funds shifted without consent. Victoria's face paled. Elena covered her mouth. Mom stood abruptly, excusing herself. Heels clicking out. The judge paused the tape. This changes things. Recess called. Outside. Reporters buzzed. I stepped past, chin high. One asked, how does it feel? I paused. Like truth finally speaking. The fallout rippled slow at first, like pebbles in a pond. Emails trickled in, anonymous tips from Foundation insiders. We were told to omit your name from records. A former board member. Victoria pushed the revisions hard. Each one bolstered my case, chipping at their facade. Then the call from Elena. Voice cracked. I didn't know the full extent. I'm stepping back. I said nothing. Let her words hang. She hung up.
Defeated.
Victory? It felt hollow, laced with sorrow. This was family. Fractured. But necessary. The federal inquiry notice arrived via certified mail. Heavy in my hands. Scrutiny into trust mismanagement. Based on my submissions. Their empire wobbled. Victoria called next. Tone polished. We can settle quietly. I replied coolly. Too late for quiet.
Click.
Social media ignited headlines. Harrington Trust under fire. Comments poured. Support. Stories of similar betrayals. One from an old professor. Proud you fought. It warmed. Unexpectedly. Then, a package. No sender. Inside Dad's Rolex. Unscratched. Silent apology? I placed it beside our photo, me and Dad. Wind swept at the beach. No others. Cass, read the news over breakfast. You're a hero, Mom. I smiled. Just persistent. But inside, doubt lingered. Was this justice? Or just more pain? The deposition loomed. Victoria took the stand. Composed but strained. My lawyer grilled. Discrepancies in logs. Rerouted funds. She deflected. But crack showed. Outside. I breathed deep. Not over. But shifting. A week later, at a quiet cafe, I met a journalist friend. Tell the story, I said, handing files. No names.
Just facts.
The article dropped. Inside a family's fractured legacy. It didn't sensationalize, it revealed. Responses flooded. Women sharing erasures. Offering solidarity. Power in numbers. Mom emailed. We need to talk. I didn't reply. Some bridges burned slow. Cass's school project won praise. An essay on inherited silence. Inspired by you, he said. Tears pricked. Legacy reborn. Not stolen. The hearing resumed. Evidence mounting. Their lawyers scrambled. I watched. Steady. Truth's momentum unstoppable. Sunlight filtered through my kitchen blinds, casting long shadows as I sipped coffee. The inquiry deepened, subpoenas issued, accounts audited. Victoria resigned from the board. Statement bland. To preserve integrity. Elena followed. Apology public, but vague. Mom retreated to the Hamptons.
Silent.
I didn't gloat. It ached. This unraveling. But freedom bloomed. Invites came. Speak at a nonprofit on family disputes. Led a workshop for the erased. I accepted one. Voice study on stage. Silence is their weapon. Voice is ours. Applause warmed. Back home.
Cass hugged me.
You did it. Not alone. I thought. Dad's recording echoed eternally. A bookstore signing for my memoir, small crowd. Intimate. I read from The Voicemail That Saved Me. Sniffles filled the room. Afterward, a woman approached. Your story gave me courage. Impact rippled. At Dad's grave, I placed a stone. Heard. Wind whispered peace. The final envelope, offered to head an advocacy group. I folded it. Ready. Not vengeance, rebirth. The courthouse steps gleamed under afternoon sun as I descended. Case closed. Trust reformed. My role restored. No fanfare. Just quiet vindication. Reporters asked, regrets? I smiled faintly. Only that it took so long to listen. Headlines faded. But lessons lingered. Families fracture. But truth endures. What if erasure births unbreakable strength? The question hung. Eternal.